Welcome, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
Mark is a professional speaker and writer and founder of Empowered Language System. And today we're going to be talking about the power of language.
Yeah.
So just to give you a little bit of background, Mark and I met
This is going to be good.
At Kyle Cease's workshop called Evolving Out Loud. And Mark gave a presentation and I saw something in your mouth and I wasn't sure what it was. It looked like a toothpick. You actually did do the entire presentation with a toothpick in your mouth, right?
I did, and I was wondering this morning. I was like, if I had not had that toothpick in my mouth, would we even be having this interview? Destiny. Fate.
Are absolutely right, because after your presentation, I felt like I wanted to be honest with you and give you feedback about the toothpick. And the funny part was that I said, I like to share the truth. And then you said, your truth. And I went, wow, yeah, my truth.
Right.
And you became known as the guy with the toothpick.
The guy with the toothpick.
So the power of language. As a life coach, I understand the importance of language. And I read your amazing, excellent PDF. And it feels like you actually take the power of language to a whole other level. Like you really, really, really dissect it in a very usable and user-friendly way. So what inspired you to do this?
Show you something?
Of course.
Okay. That is a view of Chaweng Beach on Koh Samui. Hope you can see that.
You're in
Koh
Thailand.
Samui. Yeah, Koh Samui is an island in the Gulf of Thailand. And when I was 26 years old, I had I had two choices, two life decisions to make, or two options. It was either to become a professional mixed martial arts fighter or move to Thailand. It was my identity, my passion, my obsession, my band-aid for all my fears and insecurities. And I moved over here with the idea that I would teach for 1 year, train in Thai boxing, and then come back to the States and pick up where I left off. And after I got here, almost as soon as I got here, I got injured a couple of times, one quite significantly while I was training. And I had a knee surgery, and the guy was like, "You're done." And so I flipped out. I really did. I flipped out, and all of the my stuff that I thought I had processed in my martial arts training came to the surface, and I turned into a bitter individual. And that lasted for 7-8 months until I got so sick of myself, Melissa, that I decided to take action on it. I could see. I had enough vision that I knew. I was like, I could live the rest of my life this way. Bitter. And that really scared me. So I started going down to a health and detoxification resort, and I was doing physical detox program. I had some amazing experiences and some amazing conversations with people that knew a lot more about the workings of life than I did. It became evident to me that I needed to change my story. And if I'm addressing any kind of personal story, then I'm going to be getting into language, because that's what builds our stories, for better or for worse. Long story short, personal need. Personal need got me here, and now passion and appreciation and fascination keeps me here.
What is the Empowered Language System?
The Empowered Language Systems is an educational system that helps people use their language in a more intelligent and creative way to quite literally build a more empowering and literally enjoyable identity, because our identity is flexible. The building blocks of our inner world, my inner world, is my language, okay, which constitutes my internal and external dialogue, thoughts and spoken words, okay, and that's the hand sign for language, okay, and then we have imagination, which covers all the pictures and movies and landscapes, mental landscapes that I create about myself and my world and my place in it, and then my feelings, the quality of my emotions and feelings. And this is energy. So we have language, imagination, energy. And so here's the punchline of the whole thing. If I make intelligent adjustments here, creative adjustments here, with the proper amount of education about the literal process of how my language influences my imagination and my energy, then I start to have much more of an influence in how I go about relating to myself and what I project out to the world. Let's say someone has the thought, they think the thought, you're not letting me live my life. Okay, that's the language. You're not letting me live my life, which is a classic projection. You're not letting me live my life. Okay, so that's the thought, that's the language. What kind of picture did I just make? I just made a victim-perpetrator picture in my mind, just like that. Okay, the picture is going to have, let's say, you doing something to me. Okay, you're restraining me, you're controlling me somehow. Okay, and that's the picture that I see, and then my energy follows suit, and that's going to be constricted. It's going to be some kind of a language is it's a tool for interpretation, interpreting our reality, telling myself a story about myself and the world that I live in. And we inherit that from our parents. We inherit the actual syntax, and we inherit the way they use it. And so if I know that quite literally my language, whatever thoughts show up in my mind, are only one option of what I can believe, and I know how I want to feel, that's a big part of this. Okay, how do I want to feel? Well, I know how I want to feel. Okay, and this ain't it, Melissa. Okay, and this is actually a guidepost. So if I'm doing this energetically, and I'm going to touch on breath here in a second, because it's important for people to know that language quite literally influences breath. It drives certain nervous system responses, and it influences breath for better or for worse. And so, okay, you're not letting me live my life. Interesting. That's a projection. Yeah, I'm tracking the picture. Yeah, I'm making a picture of them doing something to me, and this hurts. Okay, so let me take out the you, or your, take out the your and put in I. I'm not letting me live my life. Quite literally, as far as the mechanics of my imagination, I just literally took them out of the picture, and it's just me and me. Well, what I want to know is why I'm not letting me live my life. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're not letting me live my life.
Yeah.
That's a negation-based projection.
Yes.
Okay, and so I'm not letting me live my life. Okay, now that is a reflective negation.
So now you're owning your stuff. It's like, great, you're getting closer. Good, you're not attacking and blaming outside yourself. You're looking at you.
I'm looking at me, and now I can start to look at the finer points of what I'm doing and why, and what other thought processes involved, how long I've been stifling myself in this way, and what that then there does is it gives me much more leverage in changing that behavior, as opposed to, because you're not letting me live my life. I'm so off the mark. So what am I saying? I'm saying that I have to wait for that person to change their behavior so I can start living differently. That's called being in prison. Exactly. Prison sentences. I just served myself a prison sentence. Because a lot of times people need these kinds of slow, methodical adjustments in their language, quite literally one sentence at a time, one word at a time, so they can get their minds around new concepts. In my practice, I help people slow down. I'll take one sentence, okay, pick it out, and oh, no, come back, let's work with this, okay, and I'll literally hold my hands like this. I'll say, okay, say that again, say that again, say that again. You got the language? Yes. You understand the picture? Yes. You see it? You see it clearly? Yes, I do. Okay. Do you feel the feeling? Yes. Yes, I do. Okay, so you understand that that sentence does this and this. Yes. Okay, cool. Take this out and put that in. And anybody can do this. If I can do this work, anybody can do this. People's breath quite literally unlocks, because certain language patterns, victim mentality language, has the fascinating phenomenon, Melissa, of activating sympathetic nervous system response. okay, which is the fight, flight, or freeze response. And that shows up in people's breath. So victim mentality language activates and maintains sympathetic nervous system response, which is breathing. It's called coastal or shallow breathing. Okay, and that happens here. And we actually have literal language to describe this. I need to take a breath of fresh air. I need to get this off my chest.
Yes.
Okay, I can breathe easier now.
Yes, so true.
What are they talking about? They're talking about the energetic repercussions of a story that they've held on to. We need to talk about this so I can get this off my chest. We inherit and learn a way of using language that quite literally takes our breath out of our stomach. You see that? Out of breathing down here, and it quite literally, it locks our breath up in this part of our body. And so people walk around with, yeah, and that's coming from language. People say, oh, I'm not creative. What they're actually saying is, I'm not creating. That's closer to the truth. And then even closer to the truth is, I'm not creating what I want. Yeah, you are. You are creating your experience. You're creating your mental imagery. You're creating your energy. And at the end of the day, my story is my responsibility. Melissa, can you change my story for me? I want to feel better. Help me feel better. Okay? Take control of my language.
I'm not responsible for how you feel.
Exactly. And that's much easier to understand when someone knows the mechanism of how language influences us, for positive, for negative. Okay, I want to learn how to use my language in a more empowering way. Cool. And then the person goes out and does it. They learn it and they demonstrate that skill, which is why it's known as architect mentality language.
So you have some great examples of how to actually give feedback, which I appreciated. So can you give an example of somebody saying something and then you inquiring as a friend?
First, I want to determine what they want. Okay, and that's pretty easy. Once I know that there's essentially only two options, right? Either they want me to buy in and get on board and validate their position, or they're tired of suffering. And if they want me to get on board and validate their position as a victim, then I'm going to really scrutinize that friendship. Because what is that doing for me? What's that doing for them?
Very good point.
And if they're legitimately suffering, I'm like, okay, bro, I can be your friend or I can be your coach, your therapist, your language coach. Which would you like? I give them the option. And if they say, just be my friend, then okay, I'm like, okay, well, have you thought of this? Or what about that? And if they want the languaging, then I'm like, okay, remember this, remember that sentence, say it again, and I put that hat on. Okay, I'm very wary of people that want me to help them get a fix. Very wary of that.
Very cool. Is there anything that you would like to say in closing? Also, where can people find your wonderful book?
Closing, I'd like to thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate your time. I had fun.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. You're a great interviewer. It's easy to understand. It's easier for the average person to understand how powerful they are and how much influence they have on their life when they understand the mechanics of their language. Anyone who thinks thoughts and speaks and makes pictures and feels feelings is in this conversation from the start to the end and all the way in between. I mean, that's all of us. And there's a saying, evil requires the sanction of the victim. Depending on how people see the world. Me processing my victim mentality and keeping a tight lid on it, keeping it on a short leash, that's a kind act for me to do for myself and everyone in my circle. I've been doing this for 10 years, Melissa. I'm in the process of watching people that, it's 8 years later, are getting on board with this in my inner circle. Friends from back home.
Wow.
Okay. Sometimes it takes that long. Sometimes it takes 28 years. Okay, I'm in this for the long haul. The power of my story, it does have influence on a wide range of people. And so does yours, and so does everyone that's watching this interview. We are potent creating machines. We are going to create something. I'm going to create a story. Even if it's a no story, a no mind story. I don't have a story. Yeah, you do. Okay? Let's create beautiful stories. Watch what happens. That's my answer to the ills that I see out there, is creating and maintaining an empowering, beautiful story of myself, for myself, and then helping whoever else wants to do that for themselves as well.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I love that. And how can people do that? How can people learn more about your program?
Right. The easiest way to do that is to go to my website, which is empoweredlanguage.com. So how does someone start start on the path? Is just consider what your language does. Consideration, number one. Awareness and training, number two. All we need to do is start with the consideration process. And then if you want to see me chewing on a toothpick on stage with Kyle Cease, then right below down to the in the right-hand corner on the homepage,
that presentation
is a link to that presentation. You can see me and a toothpick and know that was part of the reason that got me into this wonderful interview today.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was a great presentation, and it's lovely to have you. And
thank you.
I think you're doing amazing work, and you're helping lots of people, and people were really impressed by you really dissecting and showing by example how powerful language really is. And it was your presentation where I learned the real meaning of the word abracadabra. But we'll let people check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Abracadabra, what does that mean? It means magic, right? A little more to it than that.
Yes, exactly.
A little more to it than that.
Cool. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to continue this evolution, please consider donating at mrmusic.com, and we'll see you again. Ciao for now.
Bye, guys. Thank you.